This is K.M. Weiland, and you are listening to the 55th episode of the Wordplay Podcast. I love daring narrative fiction. Someone asked me this week if I had a preference for first or third-person POVs in present or past tense. But this is one of those areas in which my opinionated self takes second place to my eclectic self. I really don't have a preference. I love it when authors think outside the box and experiment with new ways to tell a story. I hope to do a little experimenting myself in my work in progress, The Deepest Breath, or at least stray from the beaten path of the tight third-person past-tense narrative that I've used in all my previous books. Ultimately, the story itself will have to dictate what's best for it, but I'm looking forward to having the freedom to play around and try new things. Info dumps don't belong in dialogue. The latest post in the video series on my blog explains how to convey crucial information to your reader without overburdening your dialogue. You can watch the video on my blog at wordplay-kmweiland, that's weiland.blogspot.com. New videos are posted every Wednesday. Meanwhile, enjoy this week's podcast, Why No Writer Knows What He's Doing. I've been telling stories since I was 2 years old. I've been writing stories since I was 12. I have 2 published books, and 2 more scheduled to my name. I know enough about the craft to write this podcast, numerous guest posts, a blog, and a vlog, sharing that knowledge with other writers. Sounds like I've really got a handle on this writing business, doesn't it? The truth, however, is a little more fluid than that. The truth is I really have no idea what I'm doing. In fact, no author does. I could have written an opening paragraph about the talents and accomplishments of a Pulitzer Prize winner, and the revelation at the end would still hark back to Ernest Hemingway's admission, "We are all apprentices in a craft where no one becomes a master." Screenwriter William Goldman wrote in the essay anthology Tales from the Script, edited by Peter Hansen and Paul Robert Herman, "Nobody knows anything. If we knew what we were doing, every movie would be wonderful." At first glance, that may seem pretty self-defeating. If we're never going to conquer the art of writing, what's the point? I can hear all you perfectionists out there throwing in the towel already. But if we flip the coin on its head and look at the other side, we discover some mighty interesting benefits to this seeming defeatism, including the marvelous commiserative comfort of knowing that even the likes of Hemingway and Goldman struggled with getting a story to work. Their characters didn't always pop. Their dialogue sometimes fell flat. Their endings sometimes bombed, and they didn't know how to fix it. They stared at the cursor in frustration. They probably procrastinated. They undoubtedly experienced those moments of terror when they looked at the blank page. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? And yet these writers, and many more just like them, have produced lasting literature and film. Hemingway won the Pulitzer and the Nobel. Goldman won 2 Oscars. Because of its inherent connection to humanity's emotional and subconscious core, art can't be contained in a rigid set of principles. It's an evolving, shifting, rather nebulous creation that pours out of us in ways we can't always control. We study the craft in order to create the most effective vessel possible for our art, but effective vessels don't constitute great art. It's that bit of uncontrollable magic that boils up from someplace we didn't even know we had that makes all the difference. None of us can control that, no matter how long we've been writing, how many books we've published, or how much we've studied the craft. That's the joy of fiction, that this unexplainable magic can somehow pour from our unworthy fingertips and create something that will touch the lives of others and be remembered beyond our own lifetimes. If we knew what we were doing every step of the way, the adventure of it all would be long gone. Thank you for listening to the Wordplay Podcast. To read a transcript of this episode, visit me on the web at wordplay-kmweiland, that's weiland.blogspot.com, and be sure to listen again next week.